It's Greg Minkovitz from Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome to my kitchen and welcome to the cook-along segment of the 2020 Myositis virtual conference. I want to thank my assistant here, Tori, for filming tonight, my young teenage daughter who was taking her time to help me out tonight. So we started ahead a little bit of time to time restraints with this. We prepared our baked potatoes already. We had them in Chef Mike for about 5 minutes. Add a little bit of olive oil, nice fresh salt and pepper. And then we already cleaned some of our fresh snap peas. I left one to show the best way to clean it. Take a little bit of a paring knife or even a kitchen knife, grab the string and just lightly pull off and it'll pull the little string. And we can set that aside to saute later on tonight. So we're gonna get our baked potatoes in the oven. The time it along, so by the time the meal comes up ready, the potatoes will be ready as well. So tonight we're gonna have some sauteed peppers and onions. And we're going to saute with our chicken breast here. Now, the best way to cut a pepper, there are 2 ways. One, you can start with it right on its side. Take your knife, start right on the edge, and pull it around. Pull the edge off, and then you have a little pile here for your leftovers. You have those little seeds. Leave right there. The other way is just kind of slice right down the sides. And you can do it with either way, whatever you're comfortable with. The end result is usually the same. And you can put it right there. Now, there is a nice little trick to guarantee you that you will never cut yourself using a knife in the kitchen. And we call it let your fingers guide the knife. So you're going to lay it down like that. You're going to press the knife right against your fingers. You're going to use your back of your thumb to hold the piece down and just slightly slice down. Never going, you keep the edge of that knife on the cutting board and just slide it just along, just like that. And no matter how far across you go, because even if the knife slips, it goes right easy in. It's just like that. So thumb, press against the fingers, keep that tip down. Okay, and we're gonna have our little plug right here for our peppers and onions. And right back the same way. And one of the reasons we have it doing like this, about 20 years ago, my father was diagnosed with IBM. So I've worked with him a few times, helping out, you know, as a chef myself, trying to figure out the best meals and the best ways to help him after suffering with the swallowing issues and, you know, the mobility issues of using his hands. So I actually worked with him to come up with this meal right here. So there's a little trick. You know, there's little seasonings that's easy for him to use. Some stewed tomatoes that are nice and easy to eat for him. Very light with the seasoning, some salt and pepper. So when you come to cut an onion, there's a little known trick that we use in culinary, and it helps a lot getting pieces that are tough to cut and swallow. So you take the butt of the onion and just little, kind of like you would score a tomato. Just cut that bottom out right there, and we'll show you right afterwards what that does. Because I'm sure if you've gone out to eat and you've gotten any kind of thing with julienne onions, you've seen that one little big piece that's always in there. That actually cuts that out. So if you cut out that little, just that little bit right there from the butt of the onion, you won't have that at all in anything that you cook. So it's going to help with, you know, it going down while you're eating it. And again, you know, depending on, you know, your abilities for using it and eating, it's going to, you know, you can cut it a little bit different. So when you come in on the side, it's not going to be straight down like the pepper. You're going to come in on a little bit of an angle, but same way, you're going to let the finger guide that knife. And actually what that's going to do is make sure all the slices are the same shape and size. And you're using your thumb to keep that onion still. as you get faster, you can pick up your don't get nervous because you go like this. No matter what, even if they're nice flips, it's going to go right onto your fingers just like that. So you have nice julienne peppers and onions. Now you always want to start with your produce or starch first if you're going to be cutting it, and do your raw proteins last. That way you're not double cleaning and it cuts down on cleaning time, which I'm sure everybody will like, because the last thing you want to do after cooking a nice meal is have to go back and clean. So we have our mise en place set up. We have our pots, we have our pans, we have our stewed tomatoes, a few spices we're going to use, and now we're going to come to cutting our chicken. Now, regular chicken breast, we get it already cleaned, and so there's not really a lot of fat to trim off. So what we're going to do here is slice it right down the middle and call this a butterfly. So you're going to do a nice slice right down the middle. Now, again, this goes to your ability to, your hand use and swallowing abilities. So for my dad, we do a little bit differently because he is really unable to use any of his hands and issue swallowing. So we're going to cut these into about 1/4-inch pieces, because you still want it to kind of showcase in the dish, and they're going to kind of almost like, we're going to saute them quick, but we're going to also marinate in that sauce we're going to use, so they'll still be nice and tender. So we're going to cut it probably about 2 finger ones. So and again, if you have full use, you can keep the breast whole, and we'll, season it, sear it, and just kind of, maybe cut it like that, and just do nice size pieces so you can cut it at the table. But we're going to kind of keep them all uniform this time. Okay, we're going to start our flame right now. So when you saute or sear anything, saute is actually to cook something at very high heat very quickly. So we're going to start with the sear, which is going to lock in that flavor, and it's going to keep the chicken nice and tender while we cook it in with the stewed tomatoes and the peppers and onions. So you want to make sure anytime you saute anything, you actually want to make sure you hear it sizzle when the protein or the vegetable or whatever you're sauteing hits that pan. Okay. So now we're doing this. We're gonna. Now I don't know this is a big no-no for me, but for lack of space, knife in the sink. I typically never put knives in the sink, but we're gonna kind of make that exception one time here. So we'll wait just a few seconds, let that pan get nice and hot. If you want to make sure it's hot enough, a little trick, you have to be cautious only a little bit. Take a little bit of water from the fingertips. You don't hear anything, it's not hot enough yet. And I always like to leave like a little plastic bag right near where you're working. It really helps with the cleaning up of everything. So now you see your little food bowl scraps here. Those can go in your trash. Put that in the sink for my kids to do later. Proud the children. So put that on. So we have a lid here. We're going to use this to saute our peas in a little bit. So the cool part about this is you can actually season right on your cutting board because you're going to wash it afterwards. So we're going to take, and again, you can use any seasoning you like. This was kind of an idea of cook for my dad, so we're keeping it very simple with salt, pepper, and a little bit of a chicken rub, and our multi spice. I happen to really like Montreal chicken seasoning. If you happen to have that, I highly recommend keeping that in your cupboard. But here we have a little Canadian chicken rub. And one of the reasons I picked this, it's really fine, since there's not a lot of big chunks in that. And then a little bit of that nice all-purpose 14 seasoning. So take this, give it a good little mix. You can hear that oil now. So we're going to check it one more time. nice little. There it is. That's what you want to hear. We're going to take our chicken. We get a nice sizzle there. You know that you want to try to spread around as much as you can initially, and then we're going to use a spatula. We're gonna let that sit. You're not looking for a very dark color, but you want to get that nice kind of tan color on both sides. Probably good 3 to 4 minutes. And if you like to, you can add a little bit of seasoning onto it with the peppers and onions. You don't want to add it too soon because what it's also going to do is start to get those onions to sweat down a little bit. And you want to let that happen in the pan with the nice chicken juices, because that will help take in more of that flavor into the peppers and onions as well. So you don't want to add it too soon. So you got most of that nice brown color on the sides of those. Again, you don't have to get, you know, all 4 sides on every piece. It's just kind of a overall nice sear to it. And next thing we're going to add is our peppers and onions. So you're going to get some water from those peppers as well. They leak out and sweat out. And you get those nice juices from the chicken as well. It's going to get right in there. So all that flavors just soak in there together. On top of that, let that sweat for a few minutes. Now, I know we said we're using a baked potato because I'm using my father as an inspiration for this dish. But to kind of keep it healthy, I know we have a lot of issues with the ability to exercise and to work out. So eating healthy and eating the healthy grains, good fats versus bad fats is really the biggest thing to really that you can focus on and really have the most control over. So if you don't want to do a baked potato, there are plenty of other choices. You can use sweet potatoes. You can use farro, you can use barley, any one of those other kind of 3 healthy grains would be great to go with this. You can use a nice seared polenta. That would be really good over this because this is almost fairly similar to a kitchen cacciatore. So you can use any one of those as well. Again, it kind of your own little preference, but this is just kind of a basic idea of, you know, easy, healthy, you know, not a lot of cleanup. Again, you know, looking into people's abilities to move around, time, cleaning, you know, we kind of take all that into consideration for this. So we try to make it as tasty and quick and simple as possible. So we're going to use right now a little bit more. You see that nice, I call it for some, get that nice bright color from the green.
Yellow.
What that's it.
Green.
Come on, leave me alone. We can edit that out later. I said yellow, she's making sure I'm really paying attention. And I have to do tomatoes. And add those right in. Because it makes it taste nice. So we're going to let that sit in there. And this is actually going to help cook the chicken as well and keep it nice and tender in there. So again, this is almost kind of what we call like a little scoop and serve. So you can kind of put it right on the plate. Everything's going to be nice and tender. And one thing that it's, you know, personally for me, you know, I want my vegetables to still have a little bit of bite to them. I don't want them to be, you know, mush. So that's why I want to put them in raw. You don't really want to saute them first. I think you lose a bit of flavor when you do it separately. You do it together, cuts down again on what you have to clean up. But it really, really absorbs the flavor of each other, and that's what we're looking for here. So that's the biggest thing we like to do is make sure everything kind of stays together. So over the snap peas, now I can kind of get ahead a little bit. Do a little bit of pepper. Now, a lot of people you see, sometimes you see in the kitchen, they put their salt and pepper together. I don't like that because then you can't really control the amount of salt or pepper that you put in there if they're mixed. So I always suggest keeping little jars aside. You can use really anything if you want to use the pie containers like this, that's fine. But I really suggest keeping them separate. I'm going to toss that, give that a little shake. And this, you can pick these up really at kind of like any Home Goods or Marshalls, anything like that. But I think it looks really nice right at the kitchen table. And it looks better than having a little bottle of oil on your counter. And that way it's easily accessible. And, you can go back to where you don't have to keep it out. And it looks nice. So we're going to take a look at this. Maybe add a little bit more of this. Now, when you're dealing with dried herbs and dried seasoning, you really want to add it as close to the beginning of the cooking process as possible to give them time to come out. When you're using fresh herbs, you want to let those sit right at the end because those are going to sit there. The longer you let the fresh herbs sit in, you're going to lose their flavor. Whereas with the dried herbs, the longer they sit in there, the more going to come out. That's why you want to be very cautious when it comes to dealing with salt and pepper because it tastes like it's not there, and then you keep adding, and at the end, all of a sudden you're eating a salt bar. So just a little bit of pinch right at the beginning, and then maybe right at the end after you tried it, but I think it's much better to stick with the other seasoning as well. So a little saute in the pan. Now we're going to get this going here. Keep that on a nice medium low to get that started. And we can put these away because we're going to clean as we go. Still the many chefs I've worked with. So I've been cooking for probably, I'm going to age myself here a little
30
bit,
years.
but over 30 years. I started in 1985.
He's old too, so it is 30
I was 12
years.
years old. I started working in the local kitchen. And I've been hooked ever since. I love it. It's a huge passion of mine. I think it's just food is the one way that kind of can touch everybody. So why this is also very important to me to be part of this. I wanted to help in really any way I can because I know especially trying to take my dad out to eat can be very difficult. The one thing I will say, if you have trouble as far as, eating with big portions, being somebody who's in the kitchen, don't be afraid to ask them to cut it for you. Explain to the server what the situation is. They'll be happy to do it. So, it's a particular situation that, people love to help out. People want to make it as comfortable now for everybody as they can, especially with what's going on right now out there. It's very difficult to go to eat anyway. So you just want to make it as easy as possible. So same kind of thing as before. You want to have that nice little sizzle to it. So this we're going to have just enough to where it gets a little bit soft because I love these things raw, but we're going to want to take just a little bit of the crunch out of them just to make it easier to go down. But again, depending on, if your ability to eat it raw, then by all means, just a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of olive oil, bang, have at it. Cauliflower is one thing that would really go well with this dish as well. Roasted cauliflower, you can add a little bit of olive oil, salt, pepper, and basically, that's really all you need most times. Oh, I promise you what you use all these, didn't I? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I have to buy my daughter fresh ones now, so. Don't worry, I'll tell her that I just dropped them on the floor. So when you want to look at anything Italian eggs, think of like a little lowercase c. So a little backward c. So all you do is just come back a little bit. And we're going to give those a nice little toss.
Show the hand motion without the pan.
So it's just a little bit of a flip back, kind of like a backwards lowercase c is the best way to do that. So if you don't have a thermometer, which I suggest everybody have in their kitchen, very cheap, very easy to get, especially now on Amazon. Everything is on there. But I would recommend getting a digital one. So you've got 165 for chicken. And keep in mind, it's going to continue to get after you pull it out. So we're about 142. So we're very close to dinner being ready. So yeah, those are 150. So we're really close with that. And again, you know, it's a nice, fast, quick dinner. And you can definitely use this too, because if you like to cook, you know, if you want to make a nice Spanish rice, what you do is you strain this out and use all of this to actually boil the rice in, and you'll get really great flavor. So one thing you learn in the kitchen being a chef is controlling food costs, and that's getting, you know, the most use out of everything that you have. So that's kind of what we try to do here. So I would say that you can make rice in it. You can make, like if you want to make the farro, barley, like a little Spanish salad, you can do it right in there. You can do it like that. So we're about to come up to my daughter's favorite part, because plating, which she loves, that means it's time for dinner. So we're going to take a little bit of a slotted spoon. If I can, there we go. And again, the beauty, I wanted to do this here in my home because one thing that drives me crazy about watching Food Network and all those shows is that nobody has a kitchen like that. You know, you see all the, you know, those people on the cooking shows, those aren't their kitchens. Nobody has a kitchen like that, and no kitchen's ever that clean. So I want to hear those stories of that fight. So I want to do home and show that this is possible. It's easy. Cleanup is nothing. And that's kind of that. So we're going to get this. Now, I tell her never to use metal in these pans, but I have a more delicate arm than she does, so I can do this. So just a nice about probably 3 to 4 ounces of greens you want on your plate for, you know, a dinner meal. A little bit less for your lunch. Probably 2 to 3 ounces. And you want to stick to about 6 ounces for your protein. And usually about, same thing, 4 ounces for your vegetables. So we have our starch in here, which is a baked potato. So these are, should almost be ready also. So we're going to take our little thermometer, give these a little poke. Oh yeah, those are nice. Those are ready to come out. Timing is everything. So we're ready for these to come out. Now we use these plain. We'll kind of open because there's enough flavor in there with that salt and pepper on there that you really won't need to add anything to it. If you want to put a little butter on it, you know, by all means, jump right down there because butter, like bacon, makes everything taste better, without a doubt. So we're gonna go back. You don't have a knife this big. This can't be the one that I grabbed. So we're going to take this and cut this right down the middle like that. Give it a little squeeze. Perfect. So I'm going to take this, put this right here. And now it comes to our entree. So all that nice flavor right in there. Chicken staying nice and juicy, and again, because we cut the chicken to that size, it still kind of showcases in with all of that. Put that in there. It's your own family, so you can use your hands. It's okay. Don't worry, at work, I use gloves. I assure you we are very clean. Don't have to worry about coming in. And just like that. Beautiful, nice summer chicken with a baked potato and nice fresh snap peas. And you can still feel a little bit of that crunch with the snap peas. They're a little bit softer. Nice flavor to them. And my daughter's a terrible liar, so I'm going to have her try one of the pieces of chicken because she will not be able to tell you. So that's going to go in the drawer for now. You're supposed to eat it. See, I told you, this is live if you can't tell.
It's hot, but it's very good.
So that chicken salad is hot but very good. So it's very simple. Very easy. Again, plenty of things that we can kind of work in and out of this to their preference. If you have a question what kind of vegetable, green is always the best. So you can use zucchini, broccoli, sugar peas, snap peas, asparagus, kind of anything that you like. Again, to go with the starch, you can go with farro, barley, any kind of ancient grain will be really good. You can use risotto once in a while. We actually have a really nice stack of risotto that I recommend. I watch them doing this, won't be able to find it.
It's delicious. I literally eat this whole thing.
Actually, this was a farro. So this company also makes risotto. Very simple, very easy. Just add a little bit of water. You don't have to go too crazy. This typical real risotto takes about 25 minutes to make if you want to make it. Add just a little bit of water, dump it in, you let it sit, and you're good to go. So I want to thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for my daughter for filming it and trying the food.
It was delicious, guys.
It has been my honor to be a part of this. It's something that's very important to me, so thank you for that. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you, Greg, for that delicious meal you prepared. As a reminder, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A within the video screen.
Thank you very much. I see the first question here. The baked potatoes. I usually cook my potatoes about 350 degrees, put them at the beginning of the meal. You know, it can take anywhere from about 25, 35 minutes if you use the microwave at first for about 5 minutes, depending on the size of the potato and the kind of potato you use. I typically use Idaho potatoes would be the best, but you can use Red Bliss. You won't even need to those in the microwave. Throw those right into the oven at 350, and they should be done by the time you're done cooking. The name of the dish is actually it's just called it's just a nice little chicken summer dinner. It's very similar to a chicken cacciatore, just without a lot of the sauce. So you can definitely incorporate a lot of different vegetables in with that. I mentioned, a few people mentioned earlier they didn't like the tomatoes or peppers. You can use zucchini, summer squash, which also gives out a lot of moisture too as well. So you get the same thing out of the tomatoes. You can use that with eggplant. So it's really very versatile. So it's really you can use anything. And stirring the chicken is going to keep in that flavor as long as there's a little moisture in there. It'll definitely stay nice and tender. Farro is great. Yeah, farro is a great addition to use with this. Also use any barley or grain. It's really good as well. You can use brown rice. You can use really, anything. I happen to really enjoy that risotto. That's very easy to make. Just add a little bit of water and, butter if you want to, and you are good to go. Try to give other questions here. So yes, I am originally from Boston, out in Revere. So, and I've been cooking in Boston most of my culinary career in different high-end restaurants and resorts and casinos. So the spices that I used is very simple. It's just a basic salt and pepper. I use a 14 seasoning, which you can get in any local store, and it was also a chicken rub that I used. So very simple. You really don't need much to it for it to taste good. Those simple ingredients will work. But like I said, the ingredients very simple. They were bell peppers, stewed tomatoes, snap peas, and just regular chicken breast that I got at the local grocery store. I think that one we got at Whole Foods. They just had a little bit of they do a little better job cleaning the product. And yes, the saw peas, yes, I just use a little bit of blended oil to do with that. I am working on rebuilding my website, and actually, I believe a friend of mine and I came up with the name of my book that if I do ever write one, I think at least we have the name down pat. So you'll just have to stick around for that to see what happens next. As far as using frozen veggies, I always stick with fresh. You can use frozen. You know, like I said, you know, my father has had some issues handling, you know, forks and knives and can cuts. So we like to try to make it as kind of that scoop and serve sort of thing where you can kind of use a spoon and kind of use it off just like that. To do really any kind of cooking, I stick with the blended oil. It has a good, you can use coconut oil too. Anything that will have a high heat resistancy to it will work as well. But I cook predominantly with canola oil. Blended canola oil. I'm trying to see more of the. And yes, you can definitely soak farro overnight. That's really good too. You definitely do that. For keep cream from curling to a masala sauce, you can make a little roux, which is just a little melted butter and flour. But probably the easiest way to not toy with the taste too much is just to use a slurry, which is cornstarch and water, very little bit, and mix it in a bowl, add it in, and it will bring it together very nicely and really won't change the taste. You can use olive oil. The only problem with that is it has a lower heat, a low burning temperature, so it might scorch it a little bit and pop at you. So I would stick with more of the canola oil or the blended oil for searing, especially at home. So going to, like I said, we were talking about using vegetables. It's going to really depend on where you're at. I guess as far as your ability to use and swallow, it's going to, you know, unfortunately change over time and as disease progresses. But you know, like I said, it's definitely one of the reasons I chose this dish is it's a very interchangeable. So if there's something you don't like, or, you know, some people have issues eating foods that are very acidic, like I say, you can definitely change those vegetables out, and you can actually use polenta too. Polenta would be great on a dish like that. It's very simple, very easy to make. You can cut them out into little cakes, and it's just very, very simple. The peppers adding the inflammation, that's a question I would not be able to answer because I wouldn't 100% know. But like I said, if it is going to be an issue, it's something that you can definitely switch out of there if it's something that does affect you. And like I said, we can go back into using the summer zucchini, the summer squash, the red zucchini, eggplants, anything like that. I would definitely de-seed them first. It'll keep it, you can take the seeds out and it'll hold for them a little bit better. Did we get all the questions? And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. I'm trying to make sure we get all of our questions answered.
Thank you, Greg. This concludes our Nutrition Interactive Cook-Along. As a reminder, this session has been recorded and will be available later today for you to view again at your leisure. Please provide your feedback on this session by completing the session survey listed in the description below. Remember to explore the exhibitor page and community pages for more interactive chats with attendees and exhibitors.